Hey friends, Ashley Berges, glad to be back today. And today I want to talk about cheating. Cheating. Ugh, it's tough. And I want to bring up the 8 signs that your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your spouse may be cheating on you. Now, this is not set in stone, but these are 8 signs, 8 red flags that, if combined with several of them, probably denotes the fact that yes, indeed, they are cheating. So let's talk about those today. And let's begin with the first sign, or we call them the red flags, right? The first sign that you may be being cheated on is what? Emotional distancing. When people begin to feel more distant than they have been. And I think that we have a conscious and subconscious feeling when it comes to that. And what I mean is that, when you're close to and you've bonded with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your spouse, and when they're around, when they're part of the conversation, when they're really in the moment with you, and then there's those times when you think that they're a million miles away, okay? Now, when somebody is cheating on you, the first thing that happens is they get emotionally distanced. Now, why is that? It's because, well, they're thinking about the other person, okay? Their time and their brain share is divided between what's going on in your relationship and what's going on in this other relationship. Because when somebody's cheating in a relationship, they're running from relationship to relationship with very little time for themselves, if you understand what I mean. And so often they're in another world thinking about the other person, or texting that other person or what have you, that makes them distant from you. And you can feel when somebody is distancing themselves, being more cold, even maybe rigid than they normally are. Maybe they're not listening to you. Maybe you're having to repeat yourself over and over again, but you're feeling an emotional distancing and you don't know exactly where that's coming from. And by itself, that does not define cheating. Okay, but this is one of the red flags that, combined with these other things that I'm going to talk about right now, will kind of influence the fact that they might be cheating on you. The second thing is that they're texting a lot. They're constantly on the phone, constantly texting, and it wasn't like they were that way before. Okay, so if they're constantly texting and they're always on the phone and it's various times, maybe you're like laying in bed and they're texting and that's just not a normal thing for them, that's definitely a red flag. Okay, because what happened recently that's causing them to text in the middle of the night? What's causing them to text while y'all are at dinner? Those types of things. Unless your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend has a very stressful job and they're constantly doing that and that's what they've always done, that's one thing. But if this is a new thing, this is something to raise an eyebrow to if other things start matching up. The third thing is a new possessiveness and secrecy around the cell phone. Okay? If they've never been really secretive about their phone and they've never been really possessive of their phone, they used to leave the phone out all the time, maybe on a countertop or a table. Maybe they left it in the bedroom. Maybe it wasn't that big of a deal, and all of a sudden that phone has become an appendage of theirs, and they're not trying to get this new fantastic job and making sure that they're there all the time, or they don't have an overly stressful job. If things like that have changed, this is another red flag. Because possessiveness of phone and secrecy means that they don't want to show you something on that phone. They don't want you to see something on that phone. Okay? And that needs to be really thought about, because if you've had somebody that left their phone out all the time, and then all of a sudden one day it's in their pocket, as far as a male all the time, or as far as the woman, she's constantly holding it, or it's in her purse and she's not taking it out, and if she goes to the bathroom, she takes it with her, and that's not something that she's done in the past, this is another red flag. Number 5 is an old one, and I think you've probably heard this one before, but they accuse you of cheating. Okay, so if I want to take the heat off of me, I'm going to accuse you of possibly what I'm doing. Let's look at the flip perspective on that. If I am cheating, then I might assume that everybody cheats. Okay? Think about it. Also, if I am cheating and I want to take the heat off me and I think that you might be on my trail, I'm going to accuse you of something to do what? To put you on the defensive. Because when you're on the defensive, you're not thinking about what's wrong with me. You're thinking about how to defend yourself and how to prove that you're not cheating. So that's definitely one of the oldest tricks in the book. Not only used as much anymore because I think a lot of people are onto it, but it can definitely be used to a certain small degree to even infer the fact that you might be up to something that you have not shared and get you on that defensive, get you kind of stressed out and kind of, in the corner. The sixth indication that they might be cheating on you is that they become hypercritical of you. Okay, when I mean hypercritical, I mean they're finding fault in you when they didn't before. They're being super rude, super critical, maybe ice cold, and pointing out some of the things that you do wrong. Okay, and they didn't do this before. Okay, if somebody hadn't been rude before and pointing out all your shortcomings, and all of a sudden now they're pointing out one thing or another, the way you dress, or the way you act, or how you laugh is irritating, or whatever they're pointing out and being hypercritical about, that's also a way of distancing themselves in the relationship, and they're also trying to find the faults in the relationship. So if they were to exit stage right, they know that the relationship was having problems. Okay? And usually when this happens and they become hypercritical, it's stuff out of left field that was really never brought up. It's kind of an odd deal. And so if you become aware of this in a situation, it's not just one thing by itself, but combined kind of defines that this person is probably cheating on you. The seventh thing is they begin to keep very strict tabs on you. Where you are, what you're doing, your work schedule, your lunch schedule, your break schedule, anything in between. And especially if you were living together, okay, they want to know when you're going to be home, when you're leaving. They want to know all that information. Now, to some degree, that could be a person that's extremely controlling, okay, that's controlling you and wants to be in control of your every breath. But think about it. A lot of times when people are cheating, they want to know where the spouse or the girlfriend or boyfriend is going to be so they don't run into them, okay? Also, perhaps if they are using the home as a rendezvous location with the person that they're cheating with, they want to make sure that they don't run into you if you decide to come home during lunch. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's wanting to know exactly where you are so there's no chance of running into you. The eighth, and one of the biggest ones that I find is quite interesting, and it's not always an indication of cheating, but it tends to be, is when your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend begins to take a big interest in their outward appearance, okay? All of a sudden, a new gym membership, working out all the time, getting a tanning membership, looking good, trying to lose weight, trying to get abs, doing all those kind of things, going on a massive diet. Okay? Now, sometimes that can mean that the person decided to change their entire direction, to get healthy, to feel better. Maybe they took a personal interest in themselves and care enough to do that for themselves. But oftentimes, that can be an indication that they've seen someone or that they're interested in, okay? Or that they would like to be interested in, or that they're currently in another relationship or wanting to be in another relationship. Because when you think about these indications, by themselves, it doesn't really mean anything, okay? But combined, these indications are pretty solid that something's going on. Now, whether it's a sexual type thing, whether they are cheating on you sexually, or they're having an emotional, and sometimes people call that, emotionally cheating. One way or another, there's something going on, and it's involving somebody that's not you. And oftentimes people cheat for various reasons. They can cheat because they're insecure. They can cheat because, they're sex addicts. They can cheat because they want to get you back for some reason. They can cheat because they just like the idea of being with that person. There's so many reasons why people cheat. It's mostly all within them. So a lot of times we can't take it so personally, but we don't have to deal with it. And so if you're starting to see these red flags in your relationship right now, it's time to really step back and kind of think about the direction that you want to head, as well as how can you have a conversation about this. Is it worth having a conversation about this? But better yet, how do you start the conversation? And I think in life, it's a limited amount of time. The one thing we can't get back is time, right? And so spending time with someone who is cheating on you, who's emotionally distant, who's secretive, who's hiding things, who has now become hypercritical, who is now possessive of their phone, who is now accusing you of cheating, and now is getting all dolled up and looking great for the first time, these are signs that something's going on. And you got to decide, are you going to stick in this relationship, or are you ready to check out something else and do something else in your life? So all these signs separately don't mean that you're being cheated on, but combined, these signs are pretty solid. And you have to decide what you want to do in your life. Because you know what? Time is of the essence. We don't have unlimited time, okay? And sometimes when you put a lot of time and effort into a relationship, you sit there and you say, well, God, I put years into this relationship, what do I do? And if you're in that situation, I think you got to sit down with your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and you got to have a conversation. And I wouldn't be yelling and screaming, but I would put the cards out on the table and explain the fact that, hey, you've been emotionally distant, you've been hypercritical and extremely rude to me, pointing out all of my deficiencies that I didn't think were a big deal before, but apparently in the last few months are. You're texting all the time, even when we're in bed, and I have no idea who you're texting to. You're completely possessive of your phone, and I've never looked at your phone. And you're on that phone, you're outside making calls when we're making dinner, and when I walk outside, you're immediately getting off the phone. You're not telling me who you're talking to, or you're making somebody up, and it seems like you're frazzled, and then you wonder why I ask you who you're on the phone with. All these different things. Bringing it up to them, let them tell you what's going on. Some people are going to be honest, some people aren't. That's when you have to make the decision of what works for you, what's most important to you, and how and what's right to show respect for you and your journey in this world. Because whoever we select to be with is kind of a reflection of us. And the crap that we deal with is the crap that we deal with, and the beauty that we deal with is the beauty that we deal with. So we kind of got to pick what we want to deal with. We want to pick what we want to be surrounded by, and sometimes we have to make hard decisions. I hope this has helped out. Please share this video with anybody that's going through a situation, anybody that you know that thinks that their girlfriend, their boyfriend, their husband or wife is cheating on them. This might help them. This might give them the information they need. I hope it doesn't confuse anybody. In the meantime, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and below this video, if you have some signs and some indications, perhaps you've been cheated on, vice versa, that you would like to add to this, please add those. I'd love to hear some of your responses as well as your perspective on this. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, don't forget to live your true life.